and George is on business also, so,
That I didn't know. I knew Ben was going to be, so.
yeah.
Actually, I spoke to him today, Cole.
I spoke to him yesterday before he left.
Just think, one more year, then you'll be.
Right? Go before the meeting.
Too late now. You're in this room, you're on the air.
Drink this and.
Okay. I call this concurrent meeting of the School District of Unit Number 12 School Board and the Londonderry School District to order. Can everyone please rise, face the flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Can everyone please remain standing for a moment of silence for Nick Greenberg, who passed away this weekend? Thank you very much. Questions and announcements from the audience? Questions and announcements from the board? Seeing, I've got a couple here I wanted to bring to the attention. At our joint meeting, the issue of ethics was brought up in an ethics committee, and I'm going to pass this on to the budget committee. But in our school board policy manual, we have several policies that cover this issue. One of them is BBF, which is School Board Member Code of Ethics. BBA, which is School Board Powers and Duties. BBFA, which is School Board Members' Conflict of Interest. And our purchasing procedures, which is DJF. So those are the four policies that we have in the manual. We'll get the copies from the community that was mentioned in the meetings, and we'll see how they can integrate with this. But we have those. Can I just finish, and I'll come right back to you, Reed? Okay. The other item that came up in the joint meeting was a question about the generator at North School, or I had a question about that, and I went over my minutes from the building committee, and I spoke to Chuck about it. And what we had done is we had bought a generator. It cost us $27,000 approximately that we put on wheels. And the purpose of that was to be able to do just heating and some lighting and some ventilation in each of the buildings so the buildings would not freeze. It was not made to run a building or a facility completely. And the reason we did that is that if we had increased the cost of that anymore, the money would have had to come out of our operating budget because it was not covered by what the bond was intended for, and it would not have passed straight face with the State Board of Education. So what we did is we bought a generator that met the needs of North School. It is mobile, and it has the ability to go to the other schools, North School, Moose Hill, and the middle school, in order just to prevent freeze-ups of pipe in the winter if we have that situation. Okay, that was the second thing. I've got a couple of more items here. one of the things that we said in the budget process is that we would continuously look at positions as they became open and make necessary changes as we saw fit. The administration, this past meeting, or the meeting before this one, had the opportunity to look at art and PE at the elementary levels. And basically what they had done here is reduce 3 full-time positions. They reduced one to 0.9, one to 0.7, and one to 0.8. That resulted in a net savings to the district of $20,000. Okay, and I think that is all I have right now. Okay. Mr. Clark?
Reed Clark, Stonehenge Road. Another thing that we mentioned, and I thought I'd let it go less than a week later after I mentioned it, is a change of venue for both the deliberative session and the school and the town meeting. So I'm not going to harp on that less than a week later, but I hope by July 24th you would have given it some thought.
What we'll probably do is put that on the agenda for a meeting. It may not be the July meeting, depending on how it is, but we will put it on the agenda to see if we want to move our meeting from the cafeteria to the gymnasium. And that was the major move that you wanted to do for our meeting on Friday. And then the town would have to make their own decision where it goes. And if I'm not mistaken, and correct me if I'm wrong, the decision of where to hold the meeting really lies with the school district moderator. We can make recommendations to him, but the final decision is his on the location of the meeting.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions or announcements? Seeing none, the meetings that are coming up for us is July 24th, August 14th, and those are both at the town offices. We have a meeting on August 21st and August 23rd. Those are the building tours and the time to be arranged. I'm going to talk to the board about that. I had thought this was scheduled for the next week, and I'd like to see if we can have it the next week. And August 28th is our regular school board meeting here at the town offices, and then we'll be on a regular schedule twice a month. Okay, may I have, go ahead.
Before, I'll make the motion on that, but before I do that, just a point on the building tours. Personally, I find the building tours one of the best opportunities that the board has to find out more about the schools, to see what an incredible job that the custodial staff does to take care of them. And I'd just like to invite the community, and especially the Budget Committee, to go on these tours, or anyone that's been in leadership Londonderry, or anyone that's interested in running for office in town. If they participate in these tours, we hit every school and get through most portions of each school in a 2-night period. And it's just a very, I just find it very educational. So I appreciate you entertaining me on that.
No, thank you very much. I should have mentioned that. I apologize.
Ron?
Yes, sir.
You mentioned that you wanted to move them a week out?
I would like to ask the superintendent if we can move them to the 27th and 28th, because that's originally what we spoke about. I know I've
When does,
I've made-
when does school start?
29th,
Is it? Oh,
30th.
I see no problem from my end.
Yeah, I'd like to just move them out to the Monday and Tuesday of the following week.
Hold on, what, so they would be,
We would do the 27th and 28th, and the 28th would be followed by a board meeting.
okay, I was just checking Old Home Day, because that's a busy week, and that does not conflict with Old Home Day.
Excellent.
Thank you.
That's okay, yeah.
Okay, so, Mark, if you can make that change, that would be good. Can I please have a motion for the consent agenda?
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Second?
Second.
Okay, we have one retirement, and it's Roland Blanchette. He is a custodian in the district. He has worked in the district for 19 years. He was a third shift custodian at the high school when he was first hired, and day shift at the middle school for the past 8 years. He has never used a sick day in 15 years until he had to take some time off for knee surgery. He is loved by the children of the district. I've worked with Roland several times, being part of Laffer and setting up for for the registrations and the tryouts and all that stuff. He's a joy to work with, and we wish him well in retirement. All those in favor of the consent agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 3-0. Lisa?
Today was the last day of school. We are all very happy.
Anything else to say after that?
A few things. The student council today gave out end of the year gifts as thank you to a few people around the school that have just helped us out so much. And we are currently working on a very last minute project of donating little toys and just outdoor games for the fresh air kids that come in from the city and spend time here in Londonderry. We are gathering a couple times this summer to organize our freshman orientation plans and just help out with books and other various things that teachers need. That's pretty much it.
Okay, Pat, you're up.
Okay, thank you. For Matthew Thornton, on Wednesday, June 13th, Sarah Blanche's first grade class met for the third time with their buddies from Festival of Youth at the high school. The high school teachers Kelly Jaguar and Karen McDonald and their students had birdhouses for the first graders to paint and take home. The first graders loved going to the high school to work with the students in the cafeteria, and they were also able to share a snack of popcorn, pretzels, and juice. Mrs. Blanche can't begin to describe what a wonderful experience this was for her students, and she believes that Mrs. Jaguar and Mrs. McDonald deserve a lot of credit and praise for their efforts in this. Mrs. Soares and the BAS program would like to thank Mrs. Mack for allowing them to come over and visit the Black Hawk. That was quite an exciting day at Matthew Thornton. The kids in the windows just watching that helicopter come down was incredible. From North School, Fun Day was run by parent volunteers, was a huge success, and the field days were also. Mrs. Caballera's radio show from her enrichment cluster is being broadcast on 102.9 WLLO at noon and 6. North School had a school-wide picture taken from the roof with students and staff wearing colors of the rainbow. And other than that, they are celebrating retirements and enjoying the last few days with their students. From South School, first graders in Mrs. Gray's class held a Young Authors Garden reception. Parents joined their children who were seated throughout South School's beautiful garden to enjoy the children's published poetry about seasons in the garden as well as some of their original stories. And students in Mrs. McCarty's class wowed their audiences with a musical performance of Anansi and the Moss-Covered Rock. From the middle school, the 6th grade monsoon team hosted a senior social for graduates that were on the monsoon team when they were in 6th grade. It was a big success with over 40 students returning. This was by far the biggest turnout in the 3 years that they've hosted the party. And it was a wonderful time to connect and share memories of their experiences in grade 6 as well as their plans for the future. What beautiful, articulate, self-confident people they have become, said the staff. The middle school was also recognized by Johns Hopkins for its support of outstanding students with high academic potential as exhibited by their placement with distinction in the 2007 Talent Search. The 8th grade trip, dance, and awards ceremony were very successful. Faculty and staff are very proud of the graduates and their accomplishments throughout their time at LMS. And 51 merits were given out to 6th graders who went above and beyond in or out of the classroom this quarter. Over 150 were given out this year, so that is a considerable amount in one quarter, especially when the end of the year is upon them. From the high school, seniors did attend breakfast at their elementary schools on Friday, June 8th. Many teachers had photos and projects that they had saved for a number of years to share with the students on that morning. And as was noted by the monsoon team, this was a great experience for all and was quite impressive to see what fine young adults they've become. I attended graduation last Saturday at the Verizon Arena, and I was very impressed with their spirit and creativity of the class of 2007. Their list of accomplishments is long and will most surely grow longer, and all faculty wish them the best of luck with their future endeavors. And also, on behalf of the staff at all of Londonderry's schools, I would like to extend our deepest and most sincere condolences to the Greenberg family on the loss of their son, Nick.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Liaison reports?
This week, I attended, last week, it goes so quick when you get older. I attended the Special Education Committee meeting, and we reviewed several policies. We reviewed the restraint policy, which we've been working on for some time. We looked at the classroom utilization policy. We looked at middle school schedule changes. The middle school has planned some changes in its program that would simplify things for the parents. The students seem to understand it just fine. But what it does is it has a side benefit of making things a lot easier to schedule for special education programs. The next biggest item is the school funding on the NH Cafe front. It's been extremely busy as we get very much like a football game. We're in the 2-minute warning right now, and there's a lot of activity up at the State House. Last week, CAR 19, which is a constitutional amendment to sidestep the court's decision on school funding, failed, and it failed by 1 vote. The Senate tried to bring it up again. Both of our local senators, Bob Letourneau and Bob Clegg, voted against it. I did submit a letter to the editor to all of the local papers in their regions, from Nashua over here into Derry and Manchester, and thank them for their commitment to the New Hampshire children and for their vote on that. It's on the table right now, so they could bring it back out. There's only 11 days left in the session up there. There's also a CAR 20, which is a constitutional amendment which is even more drastic than 19. And that's on the table but could come out. The Senate would have to bring these out and vote in the affirmative on them in a supermajority. And then it would have to go to the legislative body before the end of the session. And they would have to vote on it in the supermajority before these would then be presented to the voters in 2008. I'd like to sit here and say, well, we don't need to worry about those anymore because there's only 11 days left. But after dealing with this for the past 2.5 years, I know that anything could happen, particularly at the end of the football game. There are 11 days left. The court issued its mandate in September of last year, and they said that they needed to define, they needed to cost out, they needed to determine where they were going to get that money from, and they needed to hold themselves accountable by the end of June. Right now there's a bill in the Senate that the Senate has worked on, and it has very good language in it. It's a very conversational piece, and it details extensively what an adequate education is. It talks about kindergarten as part of that process. It talks about math and science and humanities and social sciences, and it's a great place to start, and we're very pleased to see that progress. It also has in it a recommendation for a study committee, and that study committee is to go out and then take that definition and find out how much it costs. Again, a great idea. And NH Cafe would be very pleased if this were to be brought to the table and voted on by the Senate and the legislature before the end of the session, which is 11 days from now. We have hopes that it will be. It does ask that that study group bring its recommendation back next February. We think that that time frame's too long. We believe that the time frame that it should be brought back is in September. The court asked for an expedited process. There's no reason why they couldn't expedite the process. If they brought it back in September, then they could have the definition of funding, they could come into session early, they could vote on that definition, and then we could find out about it before we send the voters to the polls again next March. And this time, maybe we'll be able to tell them the truth on how much funding we will get from the state. So we appreciate the efforts that the people are making up there. The NH Cafe, at this point in time, has no intent to take the state back to the court as long as they are making progress as they are showing with this Senate bill. If they do that and things keep moving forward and they can get this committee to bring back how much it costs in the fall, hey, that's good news, and we'll move on. NH Cafe will be taking the state back to court, and that will be next month, but that will simply be to get our money back. We represent 18 towns and communities that gave funds to fight this battle, and since the state has lost at every turn, we do deserve our money back. I expect we'll keep it in a war chest to use for future needs, because obviously they're going to be necessary. Thank you.
A couple quick things, Ron. I went to a C3 meeting, and the librarians, teachers, and Joe Oswald and Sue did a very nice presentation on a research model that was done this year for grade 4, and I'm sure that information's available if anybody wants to get it from Mark. In addition to that, Brian presented that there is a piloting program for special education math that was done this year at North School, and I forget what that model was called, but in speaking to Ann Kalachi at the meeting, Ann spoke that they're going to adopt that model, if I'm not mistaken, at the middle school, and if the board would like that as a presentation at some point, I'm sure that Brian would like to, or be happy to speak at that at a future board meeting, but from the presentation, I thought it was an excellent piloting program, and it has good results, and Ann said they're going to adopt it, so that's on the right track. And it's, as I said, centered around math. So it's been a couple weeks since we met, and I'll speak to this real quick. Reed, you talk about the moving the deliberative session to the cafeteria or the gymnasium. We may have to move adult ed to the gymnasium. Adult education graduation was 2 weeks ago this coming Wednesday, and there was over 300 and odd participants. Parents came out and drove, and family members. It was the largest adult ed graduation class that we've had to date. There's a few members of that class from surrounding communities. They were all tuitioned in, so no one has to get too concerned about the monetary considerations of that. But I take great pride that Londonderry opens our doors to the students that have alternative education opportunities from surrounding districts, that their schools do not give them those opportunities. I did read in the paper, I think, that Manchester now has an adult ed program, if I'm not mistaken. But these children were from Malvern and Hudson, if I'm not mistaken. So that said, I'd like to say one last thing. This time of year, retirement, Ron mentioned tonight, we've had several retirements, and in that the board attends retirement parties. And I got to say, the ones that I've been to over the last several years, it gives us an opportunity to meet people that come back into the district that have retired previously. I know it sounds cliche-ish, but it's true. We talk about Londonderry being a community, but the educators of this town are a really tight-knit group, and I think they lean on each other in hard times. Unfortunately, we have some now, but it's very nice to have friends and families that you work with every day. So it's very nice to see that in the retirements, and I certainly enjoy those. So, although they make me speak once in a while. But so my thanks to all those, and good luck to all retirees. That's all I got.
Okay. I attended the Technology Task Force Committee, and it was a lively meeting. We had a great discussion on goals, and we spoke about the platform at the elementary school, the Mac versus the PC platform, and the action research study that will be going on. They're developing the parameters or the rubric, as education calls it, on the program, and that'll be worked next year. The other part of it is that we spoke about some of the initiatives that we may be talking about next year is bandwidth, a communication system, and information storage and documenting imaging. So those are issues that will be coming up in the future. So, excellent committee. I think we're going to have another meeting relatively soon, or sometime in July or August. So, thank you very much. Mark, I'll turn it over to you for curriculum and instruction.
I'd like to introduce Cindy Freiberger and Ann Kalachi this evening, and I'll let you two introduce the teachers tonight. Both of the curriculum coordinators at both levels have spent a considerable amount of time this past year and earlier. I know Cindy started even back the previous year, and they're bringing this evening a general overview of state requirements as well as the work that we have done to date at the middle and high school level. So without further ado, I'll have Ann and Cindy come up, and you can introduce teachers as well. Perfect timing.
What timing?
On cue.
On cue.
That agenda moved a lot quicker than we thought.
So Ann, while we're waiting, I've got a great math thing for you. If the cafeteria holds 550 people and 210 people attend the event for school board deliberative or school deliberative session, and the gymnasium holds 2,500 people, how many people would attend the event? Can you solve for X? I'm just trying to find filler time. No, actually, it would be 2,500 times 210 divided by 550. Anyways. Ann and I were at a graduation party after the graduation and had some conversations about math night.
And how the families all love it.
Yes, and how the families all couldn't wait till they could participate in math family night.
I was gonna say, while we're waiting, we can at least introduce the teachers. I have one very faithful science educator, Professor Pear, who's
got it.
new to the middle school, not new to teaching, and is a 7th grade science teacher.
And I have people that you probably recognize. How many years? 44. Ed Burgess and Kevin Murphy.
Okay.
Not make a good sound when I got to the bottom.
No.
Well, during those 30 seconds, I'll add to the audience and the audience at home. This evening is Cindy Freiberger's last evening to do a board presentation.
Oh, that's right.
For Londonderry, as she will be moving on to a curriculum director's position at Exeter High School. So we wish her best wishes.
We'll start, okay. Well, since March of 2004, science educators from across the state have been gathering together to put together the science benchmarks or frameworks. And in June of 2006, the state frameworks were accepted and approved by the state school board. And what went into the development of that was definitely it was to be in keeping with No Child Left Behind. It took into consideration our collaboration with Vermont and Rhode Island. It also took into consideration national standards, and it gave us some room for individual or local input as to what we were going to do about our curriculum in light of the new frameworks.
They looked at the old way that science was taught throughout the country, but specifically in New Hampshire, and discovered that a lot of the topics were disconnected. The connections to real life were missing, or they might not address necessarily content that a child could inquire about, hence dinosaurs being taught at multiple levels or volcanoes being taught. Throughout the middle school, they discovered in the past some of these connections began to be made, and by the high school we were doing some concentrated studies, but there were a lot of gaps in the pieces that needed to be covered prior to that. So with the new frameworks, the new picture of education sort of refocused. The younger students at a more developmental stage were going to be looking at what it meant to be a scientist. A lot of more hands-on kinds of discoveries, learning how to be better observers, learning how to record their data,
learning how to make predictions about their data, not necessarily emphasizing content. As they moved into the middle school, those skills were being utilized and now introducing a little more content with it. And then into the high school, those skills hopefully being a foundation for them to do more inquiry at a more concentrated study.
The thought was to keep continuity in the curriculum, and the thought was no more Swiss cheese science education, whereas in the past, there could be that tendency for teachers to have things that they really like to teach, and they might give more of their efforts into that area versus some of the other areas that needed to be covered. So in this case right here, we're looking at using these benchmarks and frameworks to be able to develop a curriculum so that we can say that a student in 3rd grade, 6th grade, 8th grade, or 12th grade is getting the same science education as their peers at that same grade level. So, because some of the premises that we built our curriculum off of was the fact that all students should think about and understand basic science topics, be able to evaluate evidence for bias and relevance, understand the use of data, and defend his or her point of view and critique the work of others.
When you compare the old to new, specifically at the middle school level, we were somewhat fortunate that we already put a great emphasis on inquiry. So those skills pieces and those science literacy pieces were already pretty well in place at the middle school. What we did do, however, was make some shifts on when things were taught. So, for example, the sound unit was brought down into the 6th grade with the light unit, since the study of waves that worked well together. The 8th grade, in fact, had very little impact. Most of their curriculum shifts were just dealing with the topics they already cover a little more depth. The poor 7th grade, which Jess represents, is the one that had sort of a complete overhaul of topics. And as you could see in the timeline here, are the ones that have had to work to create new units. For example, on astronomy, not one that was taught previously, and that's also the one you have the text initiative for as well. So the 7th grade science have been wonderful troopers at reinventing their science curriculum that has been sort of handed down from 8th and handed up from 6th. We spent a lot of time working with the high school. Thank goodness Cindy didn't leave before that time. And with the elementary school, despite all of the reading initiatives, we did have some science teachers that represented each of the elementary schools and met with us numerous times, because our piece was 5th through 8th, and we wanted to be conscious of not dumping too much on their plate in the 5th grade. So we did work with them to be sure that they were comfortable with where we placed different topics.
At the high school, we had another, another sidebar that we had to consider. Because our graduation requirements say that a student must complete 2 years of science to gain their diploma at Londonderry High School, we needed to make sure that physical science was somehow in those first 2 years of their curriculum, because otherwise they would not have been exposed. If they chose not to go to chemistry, if they chose not to go to physics, they would not, the only time they'd be exposed to physical science would be in the middle school. So we looked at our freshman science program, which is a perfect jumping off place because it's a heterogeneous class, which all our incoming freshmen take. So we wanted to make sure that they were going to have a physical science component there. And then when we looked at the sophomore curriculum, which is the biology, we wanted to make sure also that we were tying in our content areas, that we weren't just focused on the study of chemistry, just the study of physics, just the study of physical science, to make sure that we got that connectiveness. Now, I'm going to ask Ed and Kevin to come up here and talk to you a little bit about the freshman science program, which is a very exciting thing that we've been working on this year.
Okay. Yep. Hi. I've been here for, as I said, 22 years. 19 years ago was when I first started teaching the freshman science here at Londonderry, and probably this year is the year that I can say that we've developed it to the best that it's been so far. And the good point is that it's not where it's going to be. It's going to get better. But this year we put a lot of time in, And we've really got it to the point where we think it's a very good starting place for students that are going to go on to science at the high school. 2 years ago, Kevin, myself, Cindy, and some of the other people from the department went to some of those tri-state frameworks meetings. So we kind of had a little bit of a heads up the year before we had to start developing as to some of the things that they were looking for within the frameworks. But it was still a daunting task. We were going to add physical science into an area that we had never taught physical science. And we were going to try to determine how to incorporate that with the astronomy that we already taught, the ecology that we already taught, add some biology, some chemistry, and some physics to that. And to make the task a little bit more daunting, we started with 4 veteran teachers, and Carrie Simpson took the year off to have a kid, and we were left with 3 veteran teachers. Mary Sohm joined us, and we had 3 new teachers, new to the high school. So we were going to have to teach them the high school science and also have them help us develop a brand new curriculum. But they were willing to, we met weekly, sometimes more often than that, and put in lots of hours. And like I said, I'm very proud of how we developed the program this year. The object, as Cindy kind of already alluded to, was that we were to teach science as a whole. Traditionally, science is taught in isolation. You teach biology, you have a biology class. You teach chemistry, you have a chemistry class. You teach physics, you have a physics class. But what the state frameworks want us to do is to take all of those and to show the kids that there is a correlation between all those different aspects. And since they've never really been taught that they go together, it's hard for them to make the correlations on their own. And since we weren't trained in that way, usually you don't see the correlations until you get up to the higher levels of science, which possibly could be in college. It was hard for us to think that way. So the easiest thing to do is to go out, find a book, or find a curriculum that'll do it all for you, but they don't have them. They don't teach it this way. This is something that's new. I think it's great. I think it's a really good way to teach science, but it's kind of a new way of teaching science. So we had to go out on our own and develop a curriculum. What we always thought was one of our strengths within the 9th grade program was our environmental portion of it, especially the way that we tie in the local environment. The trip down to Beaver Brook and allow the students to actually see how their actions affect the environment around them. So that hopefully in the future, as they see new problems or new things coming up, they'll be able to critique it, find out what's relevant, what's irrelevant as far as the data goes, and then come up with some good ways of meeting those crises or those different things that are coming up. And we were happy to see that we could still incorporate that kind of as our backbone of the curriculum and kind of develop the rest of it around that. One of the keys that we wanted was to have a good logical flow from the beginning of the year to the end of the year so that the students could see the connections, understand where we had come from, where we were going, and we just thought they'd be able to understand it better. We also thought that that would make them a lot more ready to go on to biology, chemistry, and physics if they already saw how these different divisions of science actually go together. So since we have teachers there that teach biology, chemistry, and physics, we met with them quite often and told them what we were trying to develop within our curriculum, teaching bonding or teaching motion, and then asked them what they would do to try to bring the students to an understanding of that component. And we were able to develop common terms and definitions, and also basic knowledge that the students should know within each of those different areas of science. So that when they get to biology, they already have a common background. All of them have been trained the same way. When they get to chemistry, they already have a common basic knowledge, and the same with physics. What it will also allow is the teachers will know before the students come in what they've already learned. And they'll also be able to make references. Remember back in 9th grade science when you talked about covalent bonding? Well, this is where we are now, and this is where we're going. So if they can make these connections with the students, I just feel that they'll be able to see the way that science works together a lot easier. And then hopefully when they get up to the higher levels, they'll be ready to make those correlations on their own. So what do I think we need to add next? The skills part of the framework came out late, partway through the second semester. So we're able to employ some of those already this year within our curriculum, but we need to add some of that next year also. We still need to flesh out the curriculum, to add more labs, more hands-on activities, develop the literacy component more, also develop the inquiry component more. We kind of have the bare backbone of the curriculum, and now we need to flesh out around that. My prediction is that in 3 years, we'll have a stellar curriculum. It'll exceed the state standards that they hope for. It'll prepare the students very well for future study in science, and also it should give them the skills that they need to be good citizens of the world. So in 2 years, you can invite us back and we'll tell you where we are.
Hey, Kevin Murphy here. If you take a look, if you just take a look at the front there, there's just an overview of what we were and where we are. And I think that's really important to see, because prior to this, we dealt with the first half of the year was primarily ecology and environmental science, and that was tied us into the Beaver Brook experience. And then we had a third quarter on Earth and Science, which basically took us from the planet and brought us out to look at basically our environment a little bit farther away than closer to home. And then not included there, but we did an energy unit, which was sort of stuck there. We made connections, but we did the best we could. With the new frameworks, or with the new standards, by how we've set it up now, it fits in really well. We've kept the environmental theme, because one of the strong points in coming here, when I first started teaching here, I taught at Sergeant Camp. And when I came here, the seniors that were here when I started teaching went to Sergeant Camp, and some of them remembered me, and it was just sort of nice to see that they remember that experience. So the town has done a very good job at reinforcing environmental concerns, and I think that's been a really plus in the program. Now, to go in regards to how we approach the whole year, we start off with looking at the universe, the broadest aspect, and then we bring it down to the local. And then when we get down to the local, we tie in energy. And in particular this year, we tied, one of the standards is that the state wants us to be able to have the students be able to look at a fuel and know how electricity is produced, because electricity and transportation are the two biggest impacts that we have on the environment. And we have a project that's also tied into technology, where each student is basically required to, using technology, do some research on a fuel and tie that connection to make, in a sense of how do you get from this fuel to electricity and the impacts of that. And the other area is the transportation, which we just started looking into a little bit more in detail. The state doesn't have a standard on that, but looking at the prices of gas and everything else going up, it's definitely a concern that everybody should be aware of. And with the discussion of hybrid cars and so forth, as a citizen, the students really should have an idea of what's going on with that, and down the road they have choices to make in regards to how they can use that. Likewise with electricity. The choice that you have in your home for electricity has a major impact on the environment. So overall, to go from the old ECE to where we are now, we have a continual connection of several things going throughout the year. And let me just give you an example of one thing. In regards to chemistry in the past, where we have not dealt with it as strongly as we have now, and this is also done with the physical science, but just for example with chemistry, we start off the year talking about the universe and the discussion of just basically how atoms were produced, how are they formed. We then carry that down into the solar system, formation of stars, then to the solar system and the formation of planets. How did the Earth end up with the materials that we have that make us so unique? And then we tie that into the uniqueness of also how life is here on the Earth, how Earth is so unique in regards to the characteristics it has. And then from the materials that are here on Earth, such as the simple thing as water, where was water formed? We are now getting into discussions with the kids, hey, okay, you have water, it's very important, but do you know the fact that was formed out beyond us when the universe was formed, and in the sense that to get into the discussion of water cycles, how they're related to that, and then tying that further into when we start getting into electrical production, how do the use of fuels affect our water? How do the things you do around just your home, trash, sewage, all these things are connected to water. And so from the universe standpoint, when you just look at atoms and how things react, you can bring that right down through earth science, right down into environmental science, right down to the home, local environment, just showing how everything's interconnected with one another. So in that one little thing of just looking at atoms and chemistry of things, you can tie it throughout the entire year. And you can do this also with physics. Right at when we start getting into physics about like just discussion of gravity and forces, you can tie that all throughout the year. To the end, we're talking again about energy and energy conversions. So what we've tried to do is throughout the entire year now, instead of breaking it up the way we had before, where we had some connections, we are now making connections throughout the entire year. Some of the content is the same, but the approach to the content is different in the sense that you can approach it through a chemistry aspect or through a physics aspect. So showing that the kids that there are many ways of looking at how these things are interconnected is extremely important. And I think if you look at the standards, that's what they want us to do. And the whole key on this too is that at this level, at the high school level, is it's not just the, looking at facts and having kids, look at just facts and content, but it's also using the science process in order to get that information. And that's the key at the high school level that they want us to do at the state. They want the students to not just take facts or acquire facts, but okay, now what do you do with it? And so just the process of doing research to say, okay, here's a fuel, how do you get it to the electricity? But not only that, okay, how do we know it's affecting the environment? Or give us some research to show what's going on out there. How are scientists using information to see if it's going, is it good or bad? Is it a right choice, a bad choice? And so with the standards level, the high school is really important for bringing that science aspect and that citizen aspect into it. So when they leave, they really are a citizen who can make wise decisions, but also base it upon a science process versus just, oh, I feel this way, and that's just how they feel. But they can actually look into it, and hopefully they can discern, are they getting the facts? And if they don't, where do they find the information so that they can get the facts? And that's a lot different than the way we had before.
That transition then from the freshman year, having the physical science there worked very well into the changes that we made in our biology course, which is the sophomore, typically a sophomore level course. Biology then, and I believe probably if we think back to our high school biology experiences, it was human body systems. A great deal of that are comparative body systems. And that was biology then. Biology now is definitely a cellular or molecular approach, which the freshman science class has built that basis for. They've talked to them about atoms. They've talked to them about molecules. And now we're going to start seeing how that plays into biology. We've also added in more today's biology. Stem cells, cloning, biotechnology, and evolution have taken a larger focus in our biology curriculum. And again, we're looking at that inquiry-based learning, thinking about making our students think, not giving them the answers, but having them go out and to discover. Maybe pursue interests, their interests. What are they interested in that ties into this biology, and have them going and doing those investigations. And you want to talk about future for LMS? Oh, stay there, guys. I'm sure they'll have questions for you.
We are going to spend this summer, especially the seventh grade again, developing the rest of the units that we'd like to have in place for the fall. A number of the teachers are participating in a training workshop on repairing our science equipment, hoping to save some money in years to come on that. We are beginning in this content area to create common assessments where the other content areas have been working all year. The science department has had the focus of writing curriculum. So the first couple of units that they began to pilot this year, this coming year, they will write common assessments on those. And we're continuing to add to our professional development opportunities, especially in some of the units that are newer to some of the teachers. So by the fall, we should be have all the units in place, and some will be the second year of teaching, some will be a pilot year.
At the high school, we'll be shortly looking at semester 2, the common exam, the results, and we'll be making revisions to the delivery of the content accordingly. We're also going to be looking to infuse the curriculum with inquiry-based learning experiences. And as a matter of fact, the freshman science team will be meeting tomorrow and the next day for their first workshops with a consultant from EAST, which is the Eastern Alliance for Science and Technology. And they'll be coming down and working with these high school teachers about differentiated instruction and understanding by design at the high school level.
I think
That's it in a...
Yep, in a nutshell.
Questions? Go ahead, Steve.
There's been concern in the community in the past, I don't know who to direct this to, there's been concern in the community in the past on continuity between the elementary and the middle school. Can you just maybe give a broader picture of how this may be helping us with that?
Well, I think we now have the standards to direct that, so I think once the elementary school begins this as a focus, I think Mark has sort of given them permission this year also to be working on the core reading. So I think next year, as we begin to work with them and it becomes a focus, the standards sort of establish for you the targets that need to be covered, which I think would eliminate any lack of continuity between the two.
I do want to add too, Anne has, and the middle school science folks, particularly at 6th grade, have met with 5th grade teachers from each of the buildings periodically this year as the middle school has proceeded to move ahead with the science curriculum. So there has been those exchanges. The elementary level, we did do an initial, I should say, exploratory. Pat was part of that group, where we did take an initial look at the draft standards at that time and started to make some initial decisions, but we knew that the reading language program was coming, and that would be, we would have to put that in it once we get the reading program implemented. But we've had the conversations, and as Ann pointed out, the way the frameworks are set up, they're really spelled out, and the two gentlemen will tell you here at the table. They've laid it out in blocks, so you'll see the K2, 3, 5, or 3 and 4, 5, 8, and high school. So the themes are there, and I think that'll be our next efforts with that middle or elementary to middle piece.
Mark, C3 had spoken about this. You have a plan to start the process in the elementary schools.
We probably will look to come back. I would say we'll look probably again in the spring once teachers are comfortable with the core reading program. I think we will come back. I think we'll be in a good position by spring. The reason why I say that, this coming year will be the first operational assessment. So we won't be getting our results back, well, who knows, from the state, but we probably won't get those results back until fall of '08. That'll really be our first snapshot at really all three levels, the high school, middle school, and the elementary, of kind of where we stand on the against the new frameworks. I'm excited with what the middle school and the high school have done. They have really taken a look at the frameworks, and as you've heard tonight, we've had to go back and really make our own units and make our own curriculum and our own labs, because there isn't a text out there that delivers all aspects that the state is looking for us to do in the new frameworks.
Any more questions, Steve? You're all set.
Yeah, I'm afraid I'd take too long if I asked more questions, but your conversations just sparked me on how incredible this community is, and the fact of the teaching experience that exists in day-to-day life here. We have the Beautify Londonderry program and the recycling programs. We have a power plant. who's using the effluent, for those kids that didn't get to this segment yet, that's sewage. The effluent from the Manchester sewage plant and using that to cool their system as part of their process, and the cogeneration and the gas generation and how that's, you know, linked to the environment. And then the environment of the community, our aquifer and our structure of swamps and marshes that purify the water. I mean, it's just all, oh, it's so fascinating. But I'm going to stop now.
I was just going to add for the board, both science departments at the middle school and the high school, we plan to bring to the board probably at the start of the school year the benchmarks. There's still a little more tweaking I think both levels want to do during the summer, and we'd like to bring those to you this fall. I do want to make a footnote when Cindy and the two high school science teachers were talking about inquiry and thinking. I don't know if Cindy has shared with you the most recent Iowa results, the science Iowa results. We do administer that at Londonderry High School for our freshmen, and it's just amazing to me from the time we've started since we started the science assessment in Iowa back in 04, 05, we've moved 10 national percentage points, which is huge over 3 years. And I really think because the department has gone back, they've revisited their curriculum, I think they've taken some of the lessons of what the literacy team has shared over the last few years. I think it's really starting to make an impact for students. And I think you're right. I think the freshman science program will only get better in the next 2 or 3 years. So,
Dan?
Cindy, could you give me an example? So we're going to analyze the semester 2 exam results.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're going to make revisions to the delivery.
Mm-hmm.
How are we going to do that?
Okay, that's a good question. We're going to look at our, we do this every semester anyways, at the end when we give our semester exams. And Kevin and Ed will attest to this. Also, I've got math people here that will attest to this, that we look at the exams and we ask them the teachers to do an item analysis of the exams. We pick out the questions that students did very, very well on, and we also pick out those questions that students did poorly on. We look at the quality of the question. Was the question asked is the question correct, for one thing, or is it the way that question is being asked? If we as a group decide that it is a good question, then we go back and we reflect upon how do we deliver that information to our students.
But that would be an impact the following year, correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
That's correct.
So
But it's a constant
Right.
learning experience, right?
So, again, as we're evolving, as Ed said, 2-3 years from now, we're continuously evolving the delivery of the curricula into this pattern. Are the current exams still taking into consideration next year's, the continuance of development?
Well, some of the
Kind of understand my question?
I think, yes, I do. But I think that we have to really reconsider that evolving part. There's nothing that says that the way you teach A period freshman science is the same as the way you teach B periods
Oh, geez,
freshman science.
I realize that.
Yeah, so we really try to focus that our teachers look at the best way that their students in that class are going to learn. But, so that probably didn't answer that question that you just asked.
Not really.
I think another thing we're going to do too is, as we pass the students on in biology, and we've brought them to a certain point, they'll develop an assessment or a way of figuring out how far they've really come. And then they can feed back to us and say, well, they really got covalent bonding, but they don't really understand ionic bonding. So why don't we
That's
look at
That's the
something
answer.
along this point?
That's what I was looking for.
So and then the same thing, so next year will be
Because
the
of-
biology
because there
teachers.
sounds like the years are integrating together now.
Right.
So if I didn't understand it in ECE, what we used to call ECE,
Right,
when we get into biology, do I understand it now? So,
right. And
so this is planning to take that into consideration.
Right, it is. And
That's-
also
that
those
was my question.
conversations in department meetings where all of us have that conversation, the freshman science with the bio, with the upper
That's-
level classes, yeah.
That's what I was, okay, thank you.
And we're also trying to look at assessments as they come in ninth grade. What do they know so far? What should they know? And then, if you have a couple students that don't know it, how do we bring them up to speed without keeping everybody back? So we're looking at different things online that they could go to and read, and then, have a assessment at the end of the reading. Have you got up to where you need to be now? So I think we'll develop some of those things. And then the year after, when they go to chemistry, how did they get that material, and in physics also? And we'll keep tweaking it as we go along,
Thank you.
hopefully.
I'm all set, Rob.
I'm really excited about this. I think this is fantastic. From the first committee I sat with, Dee Pringle, for elementary skits, to look at that, to see where we've come so far here. One of the things I think that might be interesting and beneficial to the community is you spoke about having research papers done and see how it puts together. And I don't know if there's a way that can be presented to the board at the point to show the community, it's a lot of words here, and what we talk about, infuse curriculum with inquiry-based learning experiences. Sounds real good. What does
what
that
is it?
really mean? And I think if we can schedule this to have this presented to the board and to the community, really to the community, what is our science program looking at, and how has it evolved over the period of time, so they have a better understanding what the children in elementary school are going to eventually get to in high school, and that's why we're changing the whole program here. So something you guys might want to consider, if you can do something like that towards the end, to bring some of those research papers in to show the effects of the program. But I'm really excited here. Is there anything the board needs to do to help this process along?
I think you've given great support. Mark, certainly
Yeah.
time for the teachers has been available, curriculum time this summer has been available, requests for equipment, textbook initiatives, I think the support has been there. Now it's just the time that we need to implement it.
I also think that the support that you give us to let us try this, that the teachers feel empowered. This is something very different that they're doing. And when they've gone and met with other people throughout the state, when we go to those state science forums, and when we went to Bill Nee's being recognized as Environmental Science Teacher of the Year, and we talked about this curriculum, people across the state are very excited about it also. So we appreciate the support and the faith that you have in us, that we're doing a good job.
I
Right,
have
two
to say,
things.
I appreciate the teachers, especially veteran teachers that have 15, 20, 25 years' experience, coming out of a comfort zone of something that they've taught for eons, to say, I will take this and go out to a brave new world and come up with a new curriculum. My congratulations to the staff to come up with this, because this is the effort for the teachers to make this change, and so willing to make this change, is tremendous. I really appreciate that. Thank you so
Thank
much.
Maybe you could help us develop our curriculum, our textbook, and you could help us publish that. That'd be something that could be good.
As long as we don't have to take the test.
All right, we'll give you the answers.
I was looking for profit sharing.
Right.
Thank you all. Nice job.
Very nice job. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And good luck, Cindy.
Thank you.
The end of every class, don't they?
If he gives them the answers, they do.
Cindy, you're up again.
I am. You want to come with me? I've brought with me Rachel Small and Steve Tallow. We're going to talk to you about the pre-calculus and the calculus textbook adoptions and courses that we've come across, started to develop. Again, it's the middle school. They're doing, I guess, a little bit too good of a job down there, because we were in a nice little world where most of our students would come to us as freshmen, and they would take algebra, and then as sophomores, they go to geometry, and then they go to Algebra 2, and they'd finish out their career at Londonderry High School in pre-calculus. And there was a few that, there was a small percentage of them that went to geometry instead as freshmen. And so when they got to be their senior year, they could have the opportunity to take electives. We had finite math, and we also had probability and statistics. The numbers kept growing, and I kept my eye on those as to how many, students we were putting into these electives as in their senior year. And so we finally felt that after looking at the numbers, this was the year to do it, and to introduce a college prep calculus class at Londonderry High School, so that a student would come in geometry, going on to Algebra 2, pre-calculus, and then being able to finish their career, their mathematics career at Londonderry High School in college prep calculus. We've had AP calculus for quite a few years. However, that's a different breed of cat that's going to go to AP calculus. So we're very excited because Rachel Small is developing the curriculum for CP Calc, and we have 2 full sections of it for next year. So then we looked at the textbook of the college prep pre-calc that was feeding into the college prep calculus class, and we realized that the copyright on that was 1994. So we thought that this was the perfect time for us to look at the text and our curriculum for pre-calculus and calculus at the same time, make that purchase of the 2 textbooks, and make a more seamless transition between pre-calculus and calculus. So I believe both of these people will talk to you a little bit about why they chose the textbooks that they did. I think you'll also see in your packet, you'll see that we've developed benchmarks for pre-calculus also that are in there.
The wheelie chair.
All right.
I can't believe they gave me wheels. I'm kind of dangerous
I'll
on
play
wheels.
nice.
Want to start? Do you want me to? No. Okay. All right. We actually started looking at the calculus book first because our goal was to pick a pre-calculus book that would actually feed into the calculus. So we looked at several different books. We got the input of the AP calculus teacher and decided actually on the Larson book. And if you're familiar with our Algebra 1 curriculum, our Algebra 1 curriculum actually is written by the same person. And he does a wonderful job of integrating problem-solving skills, real-life applications, writing, reading, everything we want our curriculums to gear towards to teach our students not only the skills they need, but the thought they need for the upcoming 21st century jobs they're going to have skills for. And once we had selected this book, we looked at the corresponding pre-calculus books and found that it did everything we needed it to do as well. Again, reading, writing, inquiry, and skills as well to prepare them for the calculus program.
I'd just say that having taught the pre-calc for a long time, I'm Steve Talla, for those who don't know me, just that the course has really evolved over the last, I'd say, 5 or 6 years that I've been working with it. And as Cindy said, we're now getting a core group of kids who are coming through our program who are juniors, and at this point, we were looking at different courses to shift them into, so to speak. And we've created courses in our curriculum, but I think we've been trying to push for this, college prep calculus class all along. The Larson-Hostetler book the series that we're choosing here, 2 tried and true authors that have been out there for many, many years. I've worked with their curriculum many years, and it's the Houghton Mifflin series that Rachel's talking about is constantly being updated, et cetera. And now you're looking at a program that has all the problems that we want in it. It's going to give us access to a lot of technology, online stuff. We're now we've switched over ourselves in an approach to the course from the function approach that students need to see at the secondary level and getting them ready to go on to college. A lot of different things. And as Rachel said, there's a whole host of different things that we can do in terms of problem solving for the kids, the reading and writing in different areas that we're excited about that are sort of the ancillary materials that you get from a publisher of this type, and as I say, an author who's tried and true in the mathematical circles as having written quality textbooks for many, many years. So.
That's all I have to say.
Mark?
I will echo Steve and Rachel's comments that the Larson series that the high school math department has chosen, and what LMS math department with the Algebra 1 chose, is very strong. And I think it really provides a good foundation for our kids. It gives our teachers, our math teachers, the ability to expand, shrink, whatever in their curriculum, and I think it's a wise move.
I agree.
Questions from the board?
So we're talking new books.
Correct.
We're talking how many?
That I don't know. Cindy, how?
70.
Well, I think the calculus is getting at least 60.
Two classrooms.
No, it's for the viewing audience.
In the text initiative template, I believe,
It's on the last page.
Last
on the
page,
last
Mark.
page. Thank you. For pre-calculus, we're looking at 250 textbooks, and at the calculus level, I believe I heard 70, and that sounds, yes, 70. So,
And two-part question. How do they fit into the strategic plan? And how do they fit into the budget?
both questions, the strategic plan, this was part of the strategic plan, both pre-calculus and calculus. Both texts are budgeted in the new fiscal year for purchase after July 1.
Thank you.
Danny?
Any of you can answer the question. Can you walk me through? Because the progression of the students, I understand the current progression, so this pre-calculus program will be for those children that aren't in the advanced geometry, then trigonometry, then...
Right.
So this is more for those who come in at the algebra level?
Well, there's two
Or it doesn't matter?
different tracks that the students could take to get to the college prep calculus. They could take geometry their first year as freshmen,
Right.
then algebra 2 their sophomore year, pre-calculus their junior year, calculus their senior year.
Right.
The other option is for more and more students, we have doubling up on algebra 2 and geometry. Their sophomore year, they're taking 2 classes. And because of that, they're now going in as juniors to pre-calculus with their goal to get pre-calculus to take the SATs because of the types of questions that are on those. And then this class feeds for them as well.
So we have 2 classes subscribed for next year?
Yes.
Okay. I would imagine that would grow.
I would imagine it will also. I mean, I've watched the progression.
No, I'm just saying 70
Absolutely.
textbooks or however many is just currently, to answer Steve's
Correct.
question,
Yes.
currently covering those 2 classrooms.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. And we fully expect as teachers, what we've seen, okay, in the enrollments that we've been getting, you know, that it should increase.
Also, I noticed these textbooks are online too, so.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh,
And they're wonderful. All of the I don't know if you've actually looked at the text, but anytime there's graphs or anything, they're actually printed in there. The website students can go to print out the graphs themselves and enlarge them so they can actually get the detail from them. The answers can be posted and are posted online from these so that students can go online and check their work. More independent learning and more independent, working from the students with the teacher, more of a guide than a dumping pot of knowledge.
We've been talking about this for some time. I think this is, Steve, you're right, it is in the strategic plan and it's been there for a while. It's just the year to implement it, I guess, but I really see this growing relative to the number of classes, but it's a start.
absolutely.
So I certainly support this.
Can I have a motion to approve the textbook purchase for the pre-calculus and calculus as recommended by the middle school?
Ron, were you going to make a motion on the benchmarks as well for pre-calc?
Okay, and also, why don't we take the textbooks, because that's a financial aspect, and then we'll take the other one.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to support the recommendation for the purchase of the textbooks for pre-calculus and calculus at a estimated cost of $8,403.75
For calculus.
for calculus and
28,000.
Where is it?
Page.
$28,042, or $28,610.35 for pre-calculus.
Do I have a second?
You know, I've been here for 4 years, and I'll have to say, this is the first time that the board has had only 3 people. And for those that were wondering, both Ben and George are traveling today, so they couldn't be with us. So I guess that means I have to second it, or it'll die.
Ron can pass the gavel.
Pass the gavel, but the gavel's way
Over there. We thought we lost that with our name placards.
I'm sorry. Enough of the suspense. We all want to go home. I second the motion.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 3-0.
Mr.
Next, go ahead, make,
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion to adopt the pre-calculus benchmarks as recommended,
do I have a second?
and calculus. Or no,
Just
just
pre-calculus.
pre-calculus, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
pre-calculus.
Second?
Discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Enjoy your
And
summer.
Thank you for everybody coming out tonight.
Okay, as I mentioned earlier, the superintendent's report, we are going to postpone that to our next meeting, and we'll start with the deliberation, and the first item is the overnight field trip request.
This is Michelle Sharp, our cheerleading coach. Kobe also had a death in the family. He's out of town for the funeral, so he wasn't able to attend tonight. But Michelle knows more about cheerleading than most of us, so I'll let her.
I'm Michelle Sharp. I've been teaching at Londonderry for 9 years, and this is my 8th year coaching the varsity cheerleading squad. Looking to take the girls to New Jersey, just outside of Philadelphia, to a camp and a choreography session with our choreographer. The girls we'll be taking some vans down there, two vans, hopefully, and staying in a hotel nearby and attending a camp for 3 or 4 mornings throughout the time. We're going to hopefully try to leave, if possible, a couple days after the season. The teams are decided in August.
Okay, questions from the board?
I'm sure there's more questions. I have some parent chaperones coming. I have 3 parents, myself, and an assistant coach.
How many
Well,
students?
she obviously read my mind, because that was my question.
I know I didn't really fill it all in completely. I will be probably taking between 16 and 19 girls, depending on how many I take for the season.
Also, this is prior to school starting, so there will be no loss of instructional time. And it's after the official start of cheerleading season, so it's within the NHIAA guidelines of when cheerleaders can be meeting and practicing and all that.
I have a question. If you don't have the answer, it's okay. I'm not trying to put you on the spot.
That's okay.
This is more of a what I consider to be a strategic direction for the district. Do you understand? So you have 3 parents and 2 other adults that will be going with the 19 students.
Mm-hmm.
There's a program that the scouting movement uses called 2 Deep. And what it means is that you always have 2 young people together.
Mm-hmm.
You always have 2 adults together. And that you never have an adult alone with
Mm-hmm.
children. There's always, I just was wondering your feelings on that. And
Oh, definitely. I mean, as a school teacher too, I'm the same way. You know, my relationship with the girls and all that. I definitely understand that, and that's. I mean, the more parents I can get, if I can get more parents to go, they're all welcome to come. So.
Also, just to let you know, the principal of the school will be meeting with the team before they go, and the parents at some night prior to them going to go over ground rules and school rules. And this is what we have been doing of recent times with the last few teams that have been going to camp or going to away games or traveling overnight.
Yeah, and I think actually, I mean, you can have too many parents too. It's not a
Yeah.
family. It's not a it's not a family trip. It's
Right.
a athletic event.
Right.
And you're managing it appropriately. So, all right, thank you.
Dan?
Michelle, I think it's great that you're willing to do this. Have we ever taken a trip before?
I used to do volunteer, open it up to everybody. It was in the middle of the summer, so it was like a traditional, anyone could go to NCA camp. We used to go to National Cheerleaders Association. They would do it. But nothing for overnight with this, not nationals or anything like that. We can't do
Okay,
any
the
out
only
of state.
question I have, and I'm sure the answer is yes. When we go to a camp like this, do they provide medical assistance if somebody's injured, or what
It's at a
considerations do we
gym.
give to
It's at
that?
sorry, I didn't mean to cut
Oh,
you off.
no, it's
It's at a gym, an actual cheer gym. I don't know if you were familiar. There are quite a few around now. They're kind of like gymnastics
I see
places.
them on television.
Yeah, they're geared towards cheerleading. And it's at an actual established, they've got quite a few national championships under their belt. My choreographer cheered for University of Louisville. It's at an actual establishment, so I know they have some sort of first aid, but I don't think that they have like an EMT on.
Oh, no, okay. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Just one final
Go
thing.
ahead.
I noticed that you're fundraising.
Yes.
It never hurts to hurt up the school board either, so.
Okay. I've been fundraising for a long time when we do the routines every year, so car washes.
Happy to help.
Thanks. Saturday, car wash.
You're invited. Yeah.
See, now you have this huge viewing audience.
Car wash Saturday
Wash this
at
Saturday.
Luke Oil. Yes, from 10
so this
to
Saturday
2.
at Luke Oil.
Yeah.
It's pollen season. So there
See?
you go.
Yes.
Yeah.
So 10 to 2.
10 to 2
So
Saturday.
Chuck
Luke
at
Oil.
the Old Getty.
Yeah, Old
Luke
Getty,
Oil
yeah.
next to the Dunkin' Donuts.
Dunkin' Donuts. Come on.
10 and 2.
Support the
Everybody
girls.
take their dirty cars down
Yes.
and
Yeah.
provide a...
We do RVs, SUVs,
And if you get enough pollen,
Higher
you can go back
cost.
twice.
cost, of course.
Okay, we'll be there.
Make a motion?
Yes.
I'll make a motion to support the request that the school board allows the cheerleading team to participate in this.
Do I have a second?
Second?
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Mark, can you?
Thank you
make-
very much.
You're
Very
welcome.
welcome, thank you.
Can we make a note? I was reading over our field trip procedure. Nowhere comes near to cover anything other than an educational field trip. It just talks about a day trip. It looks like it's set up for an elementary or middle school. Can we develop a procedure that really meets what we're doing now? This is the third or fourth
idea.
team that has gone overnight. You know, Steve has some ideas about the chaperones and the 2-on-2. I believe that's what I think we need to do, and I'd like to see that come to us, you know, to be read in the September timeframe to get something like that in place. Because we have enough teams that are going out of the area, and it just seems to be growing exponentially, you know. One before, now we've got 2 or 3 going, so, okay? If the board doesn't have any objections.
Excellent.
Okay, next request is for the technology equipment.
Yes, I was waiting to see if you were ready.
I'm all set. Thank you.
It's all right. I brought, in case I stumble, I have relief in the bullpen coming up to the front of the room. Every year, as you know, in the budget, or in the section capital lease, there are requests for numerous either replacement workstations or, you know, servers, and new workstations, depending on the initiatives and what's going on. In the budget, if you remember, the main purpose, the number one priority of the IT department was to begin a 2-phase purchase to replace what's commonly referred to, at least in our circle, as Power Leap workstations. For those who don't know, there was about 4 years ago, 5 years ago now, there were many computers that we needed to upgrade, and there wasn't really sufficient money in the budget. So what the IT department did was purchase about 150 of what's called a Power Leap motherboard in order to gain us 2 or 3 years of extra time with these workstations in order to catch up with other priorities that were lingering at the time. They have worked well. They've served their purpose, but they have. It's time to discard these workstations. As I mentioned in my memo, there's about 140 of them in the budget. We had talked about 70 for this purpose. We talked about 30 at the middle school, which would go into one of the labs, and then that lab would be 173 is where the new computers would go, and then those computers would go to the sixth grade computer lab, and then those would be either discarded or put into classrooms. And then there were also some administrative workstations, mainly in the SAU office for accounts payable and so forth and so on. As my memo states, we placed an ad in the paper for all the equipment that we're discussing. We have gathered over the years quite extensive vendor list of vendors who have asked to put on the list and sent out. They were all sent out. What you have in front of you is a breakout of the specs that we gave them, as for the workstations, the servers, the printers, the notebooks, and we categorized the workstations into two areas. I should have said this earlier, I'm sorry. General PCs, which are the labs and the administrative workstations. And the second type of workstation was for the music lab, which, if you remember, it was a new lab requested and approved during the budget process. We'll continue on. You want to
Yep.
you want to
Questions?
want to talk about each section as we go through this, or just walk right through the whole thing?
What's the board's pleasure?
Well,
Go ahead.
Mr. Chair, in looking at this, all these items were discussed during budget season, and
Yes.
memory serves me, and I think you just said, there's nothing in here as an addendum to anything that was discussed and approved.
There's one issue.
Budget. Okay, that's.
If you want me, I can touch on that.
If you-
The one,
At the chair's discretion, is that okay, Ron?
I have a question that doesn't relate to that fact. So,
Okay,
How about he answers that one first?
go ahead. Steve?
in the page, I don't know what document, it's page 7, maybe 6, but it's further down than that. Just as an example, laptop configuration, I'm looking at page 6, the pages aren't numbered because they're stapled together sections.
yes,
Which section?
The May 22nd,
well, it says on the top, it says laptop configuration.
PCs, laptops, printer, server.
Laptop configuration. Right.
Okay, I got it.
Okay, that's it. Ron has it anyways.
No, I got it.
Page 6, yeah.
Yeah.
So, page 6, and the specification, it lists the bid. It says, accepting the quotes for purchase of 33 notebooks for the Londonderry School District, hardware only. The following specified components need to be quoted. 30 Hewlett-Packard Compaq NX 6325 notebook PCs. HP part number EN188UT. Why would we, when we're sending out a bid, limit ourselves to such a specific piece of hardware and not say, or equivalent? It seems to me that this would artificially limit your bid list.
Wouldn't limit the bid list. I would say you are
I
correct in that,
Don't imagine you'll be able to buy a NX 6325 Hewlett-Packard machine from one of their competitors, one of Hewlett-Packard's competitors.
I believe everybody who bid on the workstations also put a bid in for the notebooks. If you go, I had it here. On the notebooks, we had TurboTech, CDWG, ADEC, and Showtime, all bidding on the notebooks.
And they all provided a bid
Yes.
for this brand and model number.
Correct.
Okay, and my question is, why would we limit our bidding list by specifying such a specific machine?
We did that on the notebooks because we have found in the past, we have had the much reliable workstations with HPs. And when we picked these two notebooks, we looked at what was being used, or who was going to get them, or what the purpose was. And similar to the workstations, we match the specs, the power, so to speak, to what was being used. Unlike the workstations, where if you look at the ad, we asked for what's called the white box, which is like a non-generic name. You really can't do that with the notebooks. I can't say, give me a white box notebook or a white box laptop. So you're correct when you say we limited it to HPs, and we had to pick a particular level of machine that we wanted everybody to bid on because we wanted it to be fair. We didn't want to have, this one was a Pentium D2 and this one was a Pentium D1. We wanted everyone to be bidding on the same level, and instead of going to specs like we did the workstations, because we asked for particular components, we don't do that in notebooks, so we ask everybody to bid on the same notebook, so we got comparable prices.
So why could you not have asked for a bid on a notebook with a certain speed, with a certain size drive, and a certain amount of memory, and a certain size screen? What would have been the harm in that?
We could have done that, and then also put in, like, we also added the word we wanted HP, which, well, that's what I'm saying.
See,
We specifically were looking for HP notebooks because of the reliability we've had with them over the years. They're robust enough. We have in the past bought other brands and have not had nearly the success in years being used and breakdowns that we have with the HPs. Similar, I think, to the printers. We asked for HP printers. Almost the same reason. We're looking for the best price of a product or a product line that we've had the best experience with.
yeah, the next page, page 9 is the same thing. I won't go into that. It's the same
And
issue.
to go on, we asked for HP service for really the same reason. We've had the success with the HP service. We in the tech committee there was, I believe, 2 years ago, there was a discussion on IBM Blade service. And at that point, the comment was made, if we buy these HP servers this year, which was a couple of years ago, we are then saying we are buying HP servers. And the answer I gave was yes, that's the environment on the servers we wish to use and stay with.
All right. I may be the only one that sees a flaw in this.
On the printers, are these similar to the other printers that we have in the district?
There's two of them. There's
Right.
one just for the SPED initiative or the NESS, and there's one that's going in the libraries.
Right.
So when you look at the two, the answer is yes. So,
Right, and one of the things we wanted to be on that was to be consistent on the printers. I'm not talking about the computers.
right, the size and,
To be consistent on the size and also be consistent for supplies and spare parts and items like that. That was the reason that we went out, because we went
support.
significantly amount for the printers last time.
And I understand that. I'm going to go back into ancient history. In a previous life, many years ago, I worked for Wang Laboratories. And Wang Laboratories was out trying to knock down Big Blue, IBM. And we hired, this is 25, 27 years ago, so I cannot remember his last name. It was a Dr. David someone from Syracuse University. And I was speaking at Cornell University, and he was speaking at Cornell University. And he stole one of my speeches and used it in the next session. So I'm going to steal one of his. He had what he was trying to say, he was trying to convince people, is that you do not want dozens of vendors. If you have dozens of vendors, you'll have absolute total anarchy. You won't be able to keep things straight, to Ron's point, like the printer cartridges and all that other stuff. But you definitely don't want to have one vendor or one particularly specified piece of equipment, because you do not want your vendors to go home at night and to sit down and put their feet up on their coffee table and have their favorite adult beverage, knowing that they don't need to worry that you'll be purchasing their particular brand of equipment the next day. And it's good to have 2 or 3 different types of equipment in a bid or a quote. And I think to specify down to such a tiny individual item is not a good fiscally responsible thing to do.
Any comments?
Oh, I'm going to answer Dan's question about the abnormality to the budget. When we did the budget, those were on the tech committee. Subsequently, we got into the Mac PC platform discussion, and at the elementary level. And should we be going? Should we stay on the Mac platform, or should we be looking at PCs and so forth? Subsequently, there was a subcommittee off the tech committee to do the analysis of the work for us and come back with a report. And that report came back, and what's come out of that report is a pilot program or action research project whereby we would be purchasing 12 new Macs and 12 new PCs and joining them with 3 used PCs or Macs, depending on which platform the classroom is in, so that there will be 6 classrooms that would have 2 new Macs and 3 used Macs. I don't want to use competing, but being based against classroom in the 5th grade that has 2 new PCs, 3 used PCs. The object is to make sure that the workstations are comparable in power and size and so forth. And the idea is to see if the IBM computers can deliver the curriculum with the same ease, the same vitality, if you will, that the Macs do. And that program was developed and approved by the tech committee after the budget. So what you have is if you looked at my one of the pages, let me show you. On page 4 of the real page 4 of my memo, about 2/3 down, it says new PC workstations for Mac PC pilot. And what you got is it says quantity actual 12. The previous column says quantity budgeted 0. So in the budget, these 12 were not part of the budget. They are, in effect, being used as part of the, if you remember on the first page, where it says 35 Macs, that line is being used to fund the 12 Macs and the 12 PCs for this Mac PC platform discussion. What we did is use the rest of the money in that line, $31,500, and purchase 17 additional Macs. Because there are so many old Macs out there, it was the Techs Committee recommendation to use up the remaining $31,500 and purchase the additional Macs to replace the older ones, knowing that the Macs that we buy are dual platform, so no matter which way we go, whether it's a PC or Mac platform, the 17 would be reconfigured to go whichever way the discussion goes. That's the only abnormality to the budget as was approved back in January.
Okay.
Well, if I can understand that correctly, it's just allocating the resources from the Macs to the PC.
Yes.
So there is no additional impact to the budget?
No, but I just want to make that clear that.
No, but I just want to make that clear. Yeah, that's my understanding. I actually sat on that committee. Tom was there, and Sue. So I understand, but I wanted to make sure that,
Yep.
okay, thank you.
Any more discussion? I guess I have no problem on the printers and the servers for reasons that we've spoken about before. And, on the servers, I do have a problem with the laptops because I believe that we can go out to bid a laptop and come up with another equivalent laptop, Compact or IBM or whoever it is. And I think on that one there, I believe that we have limited ourselves, and we should not have limited ourselves on that. On the printers, inventory cost and setups of equipment like that, I have no problem with the printers, because most of the rest of the district, we bought a significant amounts of printers last year in all the elementaries, and having another supply of cartridges and stuff like that, I don't think would be cost effective. And on the servers, we had spoken last year about, the technology and the knowledge to fix the servers and information like that. I can see that. My personal opinion is I will vote to accept everything except the laptops and request that we go out for bid on the laptops. Okay, Brian, you have something to say?
The only thing I wanted to add was that the purchase that I presented to the board, I have time restraints on. I'm making no judgment relative to the board's motion, but I do have time restraints in terms of the allocation of the IDEA funds. I just wanted to bring that up, that I don't want to be in a position that I can't spend the money.
And these are all your computers, or virtually all of them?
Pretty much. The comment I want to make in the notebooks, I understand the board's position, and I would say certainly if we got one bid back, let's just use Triple Tech just for discussion, and nobody else bid on them because they couldn't or whatever, we would have tried, I'll use the phrase, something different. We would have had a little powwow among the IT department, and we would have discussed what we did, or did we limit it too tight or whatever. But similar to the fact that the notebooks, because they're not, we can't really fix them. We just send them back. It is easier for us to support common platform when it comes to notebooks. And that's the reason why we stayed with HP. HP now is now Compact, so that they're together. So you got HP, IBM, Toshiba.
Acer, Dell.
Right. It's a support issue as well, and we did do comparable pricing, and I can tell you that they're not outrageously more expensive than the other, I don't say vendors, other companies. But it is a support issue when we've got one notebook and we're trying to fix another one. We've had the situation, I'm not going to mention names, where we've had a particular brand of notebook go down, and that's one issue, and then over here we got another issue because these drives and this brand of notebook is doing something else.
But both of them have to go back to the manufacturer. We don't fix notebooks in here, so I look at a notebook, and if I have to send it back to the manufacturer to be repaired, I mail it to Dell, or I mail it to IBM, or I mail it to HP.
Right, but it's still down.
But it would be down no matter what. And I
Well-
guess that's what I'm saying is, you make the specification, because it's more than a household computer that I would buy over
Yes.
at Best Buy. However, that specification should be met by each of the vendors, and we would come up with the best price on the laptop. I guess that's my point. So, Dan?
Brian, what's the time limitations?
June 30.
Oh, that's
We don't have a
some
choice.
time limitations. Are all these paid for by the grant?
Well, in the notebooks, there are 33 notebooks or laptops.
Total.
30 are going, funded by the IDEA grant. 3 are going to administrative personnel. I mean, could we rebid this? I'm trying to think off the top of my head, rebidding this, circulating it out and approving it via email. I don't know if that's,
It's not legal, I don't believe.
Oh, no.
I don't,
That was my question. So it's funded for by the grants. I certainly
well, 30 out of
see
the
what
33,
you're
right?
saying, Steve. It's kind of a little catch-22 here.
Okay.
Maybe
Any more
not.
discussion? I don't know, I don't know if we have a choice. I mean, we lose the grant money if we don't support it, if I understand this
There's
correctly.
no, well, can I?
Go ahead.
There's no cost to the taxpayer of this through the grant money.
No.
What do you mean?
Well,
There's no-
well, there is a cost. We lose the grant if we, well, I shouldn't say we lose it.
Yes, I understand what you're saying.
Go ahead.
There's no cost to the Canadian taxpayer. There is a cost to the United States taxpayer,
Okay.
meaning this is a grant, this is funds from the federal government, correct?
Yes.
I just want to,
The,
but that's not the argument. I mean, the argument is not where the funds are coming from or the fact that you need this before the end of the month or you'll lose the funding. The argument that I have is I think that this is not the right way to be doing business and that we need to not be asking for bids to this specificity on MIS equipment. I'd like to ask one more question. I was going to do this after the motion was made, but I can do it now.
Go ahead.
Mark, we have a application deadline for an MIS Director of Technology for June 25th. Do you have a projection on the date that this person would be hired and up and running?
I don't at this time.
Susie, what would the process be here? What would be the earliest you could bring someone in on something like this?
Yes, the applications have come in, and we have got to get the committee together. Nate and I had discussed it. We were going to meet, I believe, around July 18th.
So we would extend an offer, just an approximate.
I'd say probably the end of July.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Dan?
Although I agree with Steve's comments, and I think they're apropos, and we need to take consideration of those for all future solicitations of bids.
Yep.
And not be, to use Steve's word,
Too tight.
use specificity to the degree that it potentially can limit some, even though we have 15 different vendors that you went to, and I appreciate that, under our bidding policy. But I do understand what Steve's saying, but realizing that this is an IDA grant, that there is the time commitment to it, I'll make a motion to support the recommendation of the purchase of $170,950 of IT equipment.
Do you have a second?
I'll second it for one more discussion.
Okay.
I voted against the IDEA funds, and my reason for that was I believe that we need a professional IT management in place in the school district in Londonderry, and I'll be voting against this also. Thank you.
Okay. I concur. We're in the process of hiring the
Yes, we
IT director. However, an August 1st or an August 15th hire date or come-on date does not support the next school year. So I believe that, you know, we have to deal with what's in front of us at the moment. So, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Opposed?
That's a 2-to-1 vote. And also, Peter, and again, Dan's comments are, don't want to see another spec that calls out for a computer.
I agree with Steve's comments.
So, a specific
And the
model of a
speed,
computer, we do the same thing for the other box, and then we'll look at the others and ship it out. But that's something we need to not do again. Okay. Request for approval for various building and ground projects.
Yes, as Mr. Zappler is making his way up. Well, I'll let him get started. My sense in.
I have a packet with a few pages of information in there. Includes some bids for various projects. But before we get into that, wanted to explain to the board so why we want to make a change in what we had proposed doing, some of the projects for the maintenance trust. As part of the budget process last fall, we identified some projects, and they were included in the maintenance trust request, and that request was approved by the taxpayers in March. And one of those items was $60,000 to replace some rooftop heating and ventilating units at the high school. And in doing the engineering work, we're looking to downsize the units, become more efficient, and came across an anomaly in energy use at the high school as compared to the other schools in the amount of electricity, natural gas that we use per square foot as compared to the other schools. High school is still being run very efficiently, and we are about 30% below the Northeast average per square foot. However, we're using more energy per square foot at the high school than the other schools. So we went investigating to find out why, and looked at a lot of things. But to get to the point, what we found is that in phase one, the original part of the building, which was constructed in 1971, above the ceiling, between the ceiling and the roof, there's about a 5-foot area, and the perimeter of the building is 910 feet. So this is a massive area. And the outer wall above the ceiling, I guess I could best describe it as a heavy-duty plastic bag filled with fiberglass insulation that's stapled up in place. And if you pop some ceiling tiles, it appears fine. Everything looks like it's intact. But what has happened, by checking into it, what we found has happened is that in most of the area, the insulation has settled down to the bottom. And in a number of other areas, the entire plastic membrane has been damaged. From renovations, we have squirrels that have gotten in above the ceiling. And when we installed the sprinkler system back about 10 years ago. And what makes it even worse is this area above the ceiling is a plenum, and all of the air that goes to the air handlers, the furnaces, to heat that section of the building is sucked from above the ceiling. So unfortunately, in winter, we're sucking cold air in from outside, above the ceiling, and then trying to heat it up and distribute it to the parts of the building. So we looked at a couple of different options, and it's a very difficult area to work in because you need to get above the ceiling at the perimeter of each classroom, and decided the best thing would be to attack it from outside. There's a wooden soffit surrounds the building. We did some test cuts so you get some good access up there, and talked to a couple of different contractors and got different proposals of doing it with foam insulation, with fiberglass, or with rigid insulation. And we settled on what we're recommending is to go with the foam insulation, similar to what we did at South School. We did the renovation down there a couple of years ago. It's easy to work with. It goes in pretty well, has a good R value. And as you can see in the last paragraph, a great return on the money. We're estimating that the payback on this will be about 2.5 to 3 years. So that's the project that we want to do. Not that replacing the rooftop units is not important. Those units are 30 years old. But at this point, we want to push that back till next fiscal year and attack the insulation project first. Second page is a spreadsheet which shows the status of the maintenance trust, the current balance, and then the appropriation, which $400,000, which was approved by the voters in March. The next section would show that if we do all of the projects that we're looking at right now, we'd have a balance of about $140,000, $139,000 and change. And then below that, we want to reserve some money just in case for the South School portables, have some money in reserve for the Fields electrical. That's a project from last year, and we're still expecting some donations, some help from public service on that. One of the other projects we're looking at is the LMS boiler room. That is out to bid right now. We had a bid walkthrough last week, and bids are due this Friday. But I think we're going to probably put the brakes on that one. From talking to some of the contractors last week, the scope of the original scope of the job has expanded, and it looks like the bids are going to come in a little bit high. And I think what we're going to do is take a step back on that and have our own in-house labor do some of the demo, some of the prep work for that, and then rebid it with different specifications in a few months. The final item reserved for windows at middle school of Matthew Thornton. I wrote up this spreadsheet last week, and I finalized the numbers for the window replacement yesterday, so I will not need that additional money. The money that we have in district-wide construction for FY08 will be adequate, so that would also be available. So if we approve all of these projects tonight, we'll still have a pretty comfortable balance in the maintenance trust in case something else comes up. The next page is the actual information in the bids for the insulation work on Phase 1. We contacted 4 companies and received bids from 3 of them. Actually, we contacted about 10 companies. There were 4 that came out to look. The rest of them were just too busy to work it into their schedule, and received 3 bids. The low bidder is Foam Tech, $65,310. And as I said, this is the same company that did the work for us at South School, and I'd like to recommend that we approve their bid and allow them to proceed with the project.
Questions from the board? Dan?
Chuck, the foam insulation that you're recommending purchasing, similar to what we did at South School, what's the anticipated life of that?
It comes with a 20-year warranty, and the expected life is up to 50 years.
It's quite the payback, because it pays back in 2.5 years, but then it's an annual savings of $25,000 a year. So,
yes,
I mean, it's
Also, one thing I
pretty
forgot to
imperative
mention,
we do it.
we have Keyspan Natural Gas, one of their subcontractors that operates their rebate program, coming out to look at this next week. So there is a potential we get some rebate money also. But even if we don't get the rebate money, it has a great payback.
Just to ask for the community, any environmental concerns with this foam insulation?
None at all. It, in fact, includes a fire rating, so it is fire resistant and is approved by the fire department, state fire marshal.
Chuck, can you explain the North School here, just for the audience, that there's a balance, 9,000, where the rest of the money is coming from?
Oh, sure. I have that included. Did you want to go through all the bids and then
No,
go back? to them, or-
however you want to do it.
Okay. Next item was the high school roof repairs. This is Phase 1. We're not doing a roof replacement, just too expensive to do that. Phase 1 is about 53,000 square feet, and a total replacement would be close to $600,000. Looking at doing a pressure wash of the roof, repair all of the seams, and then put a 2-part coating, vinyl coating over the roof. This will give us a 10-year warranty against leaks and buy us some time until we can get to a total roof replacement.
Can that roof be done in parts?
It can be done in sections, yes.
Okay.
We advertised the project, had 4 vendors come to the meeting, received 3 bids, and the low bid is the Therian Company, $115,740, and we had $120,000 budgeted for this project. Next one is the high school track resurfacing. I have bids from 3 companies. Low bid is Maine Tennis and Track, $26,975. We had budgeted $30,000 for the project, and Maine Tennis and Track has done work for us in the past, has done very good work, and this also comes with a 5-year warranty.
Go ahead.
Not my technology, but it really looks nice now.
The track?
Yeah.
You need to walk it. There are.
I don't run it, and you know what? I probably wouldn't be able to walk around it the whole length either, but that's just me.
We did some emergency type repairs last fall, and right now there are about 40 to 45 patches on the track.
Oh.
And what happens is water gets in underneath and they start to bubble up, so they actually cause mounds on it. So from a distance, it may look like it's in good condition, but we're actually a year or two past when we should have done the resurfacing.
Chuck-
also unable to host any kind of official meeting because the track is not approved or accepted to do so. This is a condition.
Chuck, can you explain also about the real condition of the track with the subsurface?
Right,
and-
the track actually consists of a couple of layers of rubber, sponge material, which is the top running surface. But below that is pavement, hot top. The area is leveled and compacted, and then hot top is put on top of it, and then the rubber is sprayed on top of that. We have recoated it. This would be the third time, and this will probably be the final time we'll be able to do it. Next time around, we'll be looking at a total reconstruction, which would mean actually going down to the base, removing everything, and redoing the whole track. And that would have a cost of in the $75,000 range.
Well, in that, what does the 5-year warranty get us then, Chuck?
That covers there are 2 coats of rubber that are put onto the track, and that covers the rubber that is on it. Anything subsurface is not covered by the warranty, would have to be repaired at additional cost. But we had a few companies that came out and looked at it, and they all agreed that it could take one more recoating before it needed a total reconstruction.
What does a recoating rough estimate get us in a number of years before we need to do this, go down to subsurface level?
5, 6, 7 years probably.
Oh, okay.
Just the fact is that this is the last time.
No, but if this was only a year fix, it wouldn't make any sense.
No, agreed. But I just wanted the board to know that
I
there's
appreciate
more work that may need to be done in the future.
And the final item, North School.
Thanks, sir.
Looking at replacing the roof on the gym, and this is a total replacement, not a repair. We had money remaining in the North School addition renovation bond, a little over $77,000. And the North School Building Committee approved at one of the last meetings using that money towards the roof replacement. We just ran out of time before the start of school last year. The bids came in a little bit above that amount, so we're looking at using the remainder of the money in the bond and then adding a difference of just under $10,000 in order to get the total replacement done on that roof. And that will have a 20-year warranty and a 30 to 50-year expected life.
Okay. Questions? Seeing none, can I have a motion?
Do you want to do them individually? Do we have to
Yep.
accept the recommended vendors?
Right.
I'll make a motion, Mr. Chair, to approve the selection of Foam Tech at a cost of $65,310 to do the insulation of the exterior walls of Phase 1 above the soffit area.
Second?
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Go
ahead.
I'll make a motion to award the contract to A.W. Theron Company for $115,740 for the repair of the high school roof.
Second?
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 I'll make a motion to accept the recommendation of Maine Tennis and Track at a cost of $26,975 to repair and resurface the high school track.
Second?
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 I'll make a motion to award the contract to A.W. Theron Company for $87,808 for the replacement of the roof at North School Gym.
Second?
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Okay, thank you very much.
Hey, Ron, just a...
Yes.
Do we have to approve pulling $9,900 out of the maintenance trust fund to finish that?
Well, yeah, why don't we make a motion just to have
Okay,
it
I'll do
clear?
it just to be safe. I think that's what we've done in the past. I'll make a motion to allocate $9,931.11 out of the Maintenance Trust Fund to finalize the North School roof replacement.
Second.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed. Okay. Okay. Next part is the policies for second reading. First one is assessment, ILBA.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to move for second reading, policy number ILBA, assessment.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion.
Well, we have the acting superintendent explain to the community what they are.
Basically, again, at the last board meeting, these policies are part of the new state minimum standard requirements that that school districts must have in place. Policies on assessment, high school competencies assessments, extended learning opportunities online, virtual education policy, extended learning opportunities. And as you heard in the last presentation, Mr. Elefante explained that a number of these areas, particularly extended learning opportunities, we have been doing for quite some time at Londonderry High School, and these policies just help solidify what we've been practicing these last several years.
Questions? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Okay, next policy is ILBAA, high school competency assessments.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we approve approve a second reading of ILBAA, high school competency assessments.
Second.
Second.
Mark, you want to tell us what this one is?
Again, I kind of lumped them
Okay.
together. Again, it is part of our state minimum requirements.
Mark, if a citizen in the community were interested in these, I know that we've given all of these to the press and our liaison this evening, but if someone in the community were interested in seeing the detail of these, they would simply contact the district office.
That's correct. We
But
can certainly.
they're not on the web because they're not approved yet.
That's correct.
Okay.
But could we put them on the web as potential before the next reading? And mark it as a draft or second reading, so it'll be on there?
Do that.
And that way, they will be available on the web.
Yeah. Actually, these particular ones, I
I don't see this
see
as,
as somebody being interested in, but if they are.
but I think we should do this for all policies, just as a standard procedure to put it on there so the community can see the policies that we're talking about. Okay. All those in favor of policy ILBAA?
Aye.
Okay, motion on policy INAA, extended learning opportunities, online and virtual education policy.
I'll make a motion, Mr. Chair, to move policy INAA for second reading.
Second,
Second?
discussion. Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Mr. Chair, I make a motion for INAA-R, extended learning opportunities regulation for a second reading.
Second,
Second.
discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay. One last policy. IIAE students, and this is the acceptable use.
Ron?
That's
excuse
the,
me, that was just
I
as a
keep-
reference.
Yep.
And just going back,
I'm 2 for 2 on that one.
the last one
did that last time, too.
the last one you did approve,
We're uneven.
that is the regulation to the extended learning opportunities
Yeah.
policy. I apologize to the board that was not in the last packet, but
Yeah.
that's the yellow sheets that you have there.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mark. The last item we have is the architect's contract for South School. Peter, you want to?
I'm not sure how you want to handle this. The discussion the last time the board was wrestling with was, we accepted, I believe, Mr. Marinese as the architect of the South School project, A, if it goes forward, and B, at what size. Then the question was, well, how do we know what dollar amount we're looking to expend? So talking to Frank, we kind of come up with these three, I guess, key dollar amounts as to what he would be charging for the project, and at 3.5 mil, 4.5, and 5.5 million. I don't know if you want to take action tonight, or you want to put it together when next time after you do the whole discussion of space needs and so forth and so on.
Peter, is there any, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Peter, is there any, we had quite a bit of conversation on this at the last meeting, and thank you for the recap. Is there any particular need tonight on this? And let me explain my reason. We're looking at anywhere between 348,000 down to 300,000. And I think that it's a rare occurrence when we don't have this many board members here. Everyone has nearly 100% attendance, so I'm just thinking that next time if we had 5 board members for that amount of funds.
I think, let me answer the question.
Already given a letter of intent.
I understand. What Frank is willing to do is say, whatever the size of the project comes in, so in other words, we don't have to vote on 3.5 or 4.5 or whatever tonight. What we're saying is, whatever the scope of the project deems to be, if there is one, whatever, if it comes in at 3.5 million, this would be the price he's asking, or 4.5, that would be the price. Or if it's 4 million, it would be prorated between the two. There is, I don't want to say, there is some urgency in coming, in doing something, because as we do, we back up the count and we go backwards. We obviously have, if you want to go, if the board's intent is to put a article, should the need be warranted by the superintendent. If the board wants to put an article in March, it obviously has to have a GNP somewhere around January at the latest, maybe December, in order to have the proper discussion, okay? If you back it up further, there has to be a fair amount of window for the architect and the general contractor to get together, put together sufficient plans. General contractor has to grab subcontracts to get a bid process, so forth and so on. So what happens is, if we don't do anything tonight, the next meeting, as I understand it, is July 24th. Okay, so let's just go to, let's say, just for discussion, we appoint Frank on July 24th, whatever. What happens is, there's a whole month or month and a half that we don't do anything. So we lose a month and a half, which means on July 24th, we approve Frank. Then, as I mentioned in my memo, the committee would get together, interview 3, 4, 5 construction manager companies, then pick one, then go in and do the work. And I don't know, could we do it? I think we could, but I think we're squeezing the time frame of picking a general contractor and having Frank and finish the design work, go out to bid, and have a GNP. I guess it would be tight. I'm saying I think we could do it. It obviously will be easier if we had a month and a half head start. But that's the best answer I can give you.
Comments? Dan?
Well, everybody knows where I stand on this, but I'll ask a question for my edification and the board's, I hope. I see, and I certainly understand what's presented here, but what's the difference in Frank's numbers of 5.5 and 3.5? So, I mean, I'm not sure what we'd be voting on if, I support the project.
Yes.
And I've been clear about that, so it's no surprise. But if I sit here and say, geez, I'll support Frank for X dollars, and he goes off and, let's say I go the lowest number, and he goes off and starts his design, and then the board comes back and says, geez, I don't know what the 4.5 is, or the 5.5, but I think I'd defer on this one to wait till the full board's here, because we had some, not consternation, but consideration and discussion relative to the overall project.
Okay,
And I think, in fairness to Frank, and to the board and to the community, we need to decide on the project before we empower an architect to begin any drawings. Oh, well, he's already begun because we've appropriated funds last year to do this, right?
I
He's
understand what you're
done
saying.
something.
I understand, that's why I was trying to
But I'm
answer.
confused. Who gave him, or where'd he get these breaks?
We just we had to pick something. In other words, what he's saying is,
Not his cost, I'm talking the project.
Well, what Nate
You know
had
what I'm
done on the 3.5 was said, what is the minimum just to replace the classrooms type of deal?
Right.
Existing classrooms, limited the project size considerably. No, don't do any renovation works. And what would the minimum be to replace square footage for square footage? To come up with a minimum number and then work
Build
to
from
the,
there.
and build to the top one, and the middle one's just an
But to the
average.
best of my knowledge, we haven't agreed on that.
No.
right, but what Frank is saying is,
I hear what you're saying, Ron.
to give the board an idea of what his fee would be. The committee would still develop the size, and the board would approve a GNP, and then we'd back into whatever number Frank gets based on what the approved project is.
I don't want to sound like a pain in the rear, but what I'll say is, I think I defer to the entire board
okay.
Yep.
sitting. And if we have to work a little harder to meet the deadlines, we've
Right.
done it before, and we'll do that if the board approves the project.
Right. I
And
just
I-
wanted,
Makes sense.
Yeah, it makes, it,
Rather
this,
than-
this made perfect sense when we were going to do the superintendent's
Because the
report.
other two board members had some questions relative to this,
Right.
as you well know.
Okay,
So
I'm okay, I just want to let.
it's more for informational
Same.
purposes.
Right.
Is that how you feel?
I think it
yeah,
makes sense.
Is that-
it makes perfect
I'm okay
sense.
with that.
Okay,
Before we go to that, though, on a related note, who's the capital improvement plan?
I am.
We pushed that off tonight. I know they
That
have an
still will give
aggressive
us-
schedule.
But that still give us enough time if
But I
we
think
need it in the September.
Have to
No,
make a determination before.
It'll
we
give
vote.
us enough time in the July meeting.
Okay.
Because they're presenting, we're meeting in the end of
I
August.
actually wasn't looking at this, I was looking at the bigger picture of the CIP.
No, yeah, but which placeholder would we?
Actually, not even this. I was looking at all of our CIP stuff.
Right.
Because of the time frame. It just
Right,
came to
right,
my
but-
mind when we discussed this, that there may be an issue with us getting our CIP in on time. I don't want to be the CIP committee, they're saying, hey, the school hasn't given us our stuff.
Right, no, I think we're in good shape there. We still can make the deadlines that they're meeting, correct? Yep,
All right.
so, we're all set on that.
Thanks.
May I have a motion to go into non-public session under RSA 91A3, Section 2A
Ron,
through I?
Ron.
I'm sorry. Go. I apologize,
I was waving a bit there, but you weren't distracted. Would only add, Jay Hooley, Budget Committee, I'm sorry. A question, I know in the last presentation, there was some numbers quoted from Frank and the percentage that he came in on the projects that he had done for us in the past. And I'm recalling, I didn't bring it with me tonight, that the percentages were more in line with the numbers next to the $5.5 million project. And what he's saying is now that he basically, we approved him as the architect at the last meeting or 2 meetings ago prior to the joint meeting, and now that we've pre-approved him, as the project potentially decreases in size, his fee is increasing.
Well, you have, don't forget, the percentage is increasing.
Yes.
And don't forget, it's like anything else. You have a fixed amount of cost that is fixed no matter what the project does. So as you go up, and as you're going up, the site work gets done, whether it's one classroom or whatever, there's a certain amount of site work that has to get done. And that's incorporated in a small number. If it's incorporated in a small number, the percentage of his fee is gonna look larger, okay? In other words, we have to bring power, a huge amount of power into the project, regardless whether there's 2 classrooms added or not. So that fixed cost of additional power supply is built in, even to the lower number, okay?
Which-
The road around the fire lane around the building is incorporated, no matter what we do, 2 classrooms or 8 classrooms. So those fixed sections have to be done, and so they will eat up a larger percentage of his, they would create a larger percentage of his fee than if you add other areas onto it. They have to get done, so it's an allocation process.
Steve?
I'd appreciate it if you brought up that same question. I know you've been attending every meeting. I appreciate it. If you could bring up that same question at the July meeting, when we have a full
I mean,
board here.
it just seems a rather dramatic, and yes, I understand if we need to do the road, we need to do the road. But if we need to design the electric in,
I think your question's a good one. So,
you know, either that or find him a $10 million project, because at this progression, he'll be free.
I'm not sure it works that way.
Oh, that was a thought.
I like the concept, though.
Reed?
I'm glad you had the science teachers in today because they proved my point. It was a scientific fact that it would be ecologically and environmentally sound to have more space for the meeting in the gym and have life science, better life science. Perfect. I mean, it just moved right along. On that.
Okay.
July.
May I have a motion to go into non-public session?
Welcome to the non-public requested under RSA 91A 3, Section 2, A through I.
Second?
Second.
Roll call?
Steve Young.
Aye, Ron Campo. If you're in this room, you're on the air. Yes.